And we are back, and so is The Mandalorian. Season 3 debuted today. We just watched it. It just literally dropped. It's 2:38 in the morning here, Central Time. So we're going to get into the non-spoilers before
First.
before we get into the spoilers. And we're going to let you guys know. So I got to say, Nick, first of all, this is an episode that I've been waiting on for over 2 years now. We left on such a
Long way.
high. Yeah, we left on such a high in chapter 16 of The Mandalorian and the return of Luke Skywalker and all of that. And, at the beginning of this episode, they give us a recap and then they thrust us right back into that world of The Mandalorian and Grogu. And I got to say, I'm happy with it. It was a short episode. It was a
Yeah.
35-minute ish episode. And when it ended, I was like, wow, it's already over. Like it went by so fast.
Yeah. Mainly because they do the recap at the
Yeah.
beginning. And then you got the credits at the end. So actual episode time
Yeah.
of actual new episode time was maybe, I don't know, maybe 20, 22 minutes, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't very good. Like in terms of length, I wanted more, but
Yeah.
it went by really quick. I'm good. I thought it was a possibly a good first episode into the season. It's not like they came out guns blazing. Here it is. We got a little
Mhm.
bit of action. We got characters. We got, again, we're going to get into the spoilers a little bit later. We got some characters come back, possibly. That's kind of
Yeah.
exciting. That
Yep. Some old characters mentioned.
Yeah, I didn't see this coming back.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's my non-spoiler thoughts. What are yours?
So I thought it was a decent kickoff to the season. Um, they kind of progressed the story, kind of set up some stuff, kind of addressed some things. Um, there was a couple nitpicks in there for me that I'll get into in the spoiler discussion, but all in all, I thought it was a good episode.
Right.
I thought it was better than what we've gotten. I actually liked it more than anything I saw in Andor or Kenobi, for sure, for me.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, with that being said, we're getting into the spoilers right
Yeah.
now. So, if you don't want to be spoiled, run away. So, here we go. Spoiler time.
Yeah, let's do it.
Nick, the whole thing started off with a recap.
Yeah.
And something was missing in that recap completely. And it was the highlight of season 2. It was Luke's showing up. Anything with Luke and Grogu, no recap whatsoever. You have, based on what we got from the Mandalorian here, we got nothing about how long Grogu has been gone or anything like that. It's like we're just
No.
right back. We're just right back in it with Grogu and Mando. I don't know why anybody would expect anything different, but that's exactly what we got. And I kind of
Yeah.
felt like we needed something. Not that it won't happen later, but like in this opening episode, we're right back. Like nothing in chapter 16 ever even happened. And
Exactly. That's exactly how it was. Literally, it was like forget the Luke stuff ever happened. They really didn't even go into any of the Book of Boba Fett stuff.
no, no, they did
It
not.
was literally like if you took Luke returning and Grogu leaving with Luke and the stuff that happened in Book of Boba Fett out, it just plays on.
Yeah. So that gets us to the very opening scene where
Yes.
we're on a planet and there's a bunch of Mandalorians and the armorer is there. The armorer is in her workshop. She's working on something. She's built a new helmet. And Nick, when you first saw it, you thought that
Flashback.
the young boy was Mando.
Yeah.
It shows a young boy. He's standing there. He's about to become a Mandalorian. He's about to transition from foundling to Mandalorian. The armor's about to put the helmet on him, and we still thought it was a flashback. A big, huge monster comes out of the water. Some of the Mandalorians are getting killed. They're in battle with this monster. Instead of leaving, they're sitting there fighting it. And then all of a
Big,
sudden,
huge crocodile.
yeah, all of a sudden we realize this is no flashback at all, because the show's namesake shows up in his altered Naboo starfighter and kills the creature with the ship, which I thought that was a pretty groovy entrance, but I think that probably most people watching it, were you fooled? Like I honestly thought that's Mando.
Yeah, that's Mando as a kid when he first got his first helmet, all that.
Yep. And that would have made sense, but anyways, Mando shows up and then he has a conversation with the armorer. And it's kind of the conversation that they've already had. You are a Mandalorian no more. She told you that in the Book of Boba Fett, and now she tells you that again. So now you've gotten it twice. And I thought, Nick, that they have a conversation about what can I do to atone. The armorer says you can't do it, and Mando says, "Well, I got this. It's a secret. Code. It's information about what I can do." The armorer's like, "Where did you get that?" He said, "The Jawas got it from a traveler. I got it from the Jawas."
Yeah.
To me, that's one critique that I'll give this episode. I thought that was too easy, and I thought that was kind of lazy.
Very lazy storytelling to explain that. It's just like, I got it off of Jawa who got it off of some space traveler. Like, there should be something more behind that. It's just, ultimately it's not that important, but it would have been better if he would have just found it off of somebody or something, or got it in a trade or something, and they're just like, I don't know, I came across it, I don't remember where I got it, or something, but I got it off of Jawas who got it off of a space traveler.
Yeah.
I don't know. They could have gone a little bit more into that.
Well, so after that scene, we planet jump, and there was a lot of planet jumping in this episode. The entire episode is like, put a camera behind Mando and follow him around everywhere he goes, because that's what we got. We never got a cut away to another character, like ever. Like, it was all about following Mando, and his little green buddy was literally with him every second of the way. And that's one thing. That's one thing that I did like about Andor. You would have cuts to different locations with different people, and different things are happening, and the story, and there's different elements that are all coming together in different pieces. That doesn't happen here. This is a very linear approach to storytelling. This is literally follow Mando everywhere he goes. It's, which I get it. It's the name of the show. But I was kind of missing that aspect. So the next thing that we have is Mando and Grogu go to Navarro. And, while they were in hyperspace, Nick, it appears that, that Grogu sees the space whales. I can't even remember what they're called, that we see in Rebels. I'm sure that we'll be finding out more about that later, I would assume. But they show up in Navarro, and they meet up with Greef Karga. A couple things happen in Navarro that I thought were interesting. One, and most notably, Cara Dune is mentioned.
Yes.
Would you want to talk about that part?
Yeah, so we were wondering if she was going to even be mentioned at all, or, what happened to her. And they actually do mention her and explain that, after all that crap went down, she got recruited by Special Forces for, I guess, the New Republic. And she's off doing her own thing.
Grief Karga is asking Mando if he wants to be the marshal, and he's like, "No, not me. What about Marshal Dune, or what about Cara Dune?"
Yeah.
And Grief Karga, she's already gone. She's been recruited to Special Forces, so they went ahead and took care of that from the gate. I mean, from right out of the gate, they took care of her absence. It's been justified, I guess, and now we probably won't see nor hear. Definitely won't see. We won't hear of Cara Dune again. I wouldn't think. They just wrote her off the show right there.
Yeah, she's. They didn't kill her off screen. She's off doing special forces stuff. She's back doing that. And that's pretty much the end of her.
Yep.
Unless something happens down the road, where they bring Gina Carano back, and of course they could revive her character, but at least they didn't kill the character off screen, and it doesn't look like they're going to be recasting.
Yeah. So while Mando is walking around with Grief Karga, they run across like a local gang, and they're wanting to have drinks. Well, Grief Karga gets into a gunslinging draw, if you will, with the gang leader and the pirate leader, I guess. And anyways, Mando ends up blasting and killing some of these guys. The leader is left. The leader of that gang of pirates are left. He leaves, and Mando tells Grief Karga, "I need a droid, and I want IG-11 back." So they go through this whole process of trying to repair IG-11. There's this funny little scene where IG-11 first reactivates, and he goes back to like evil Johnny Five with the red eyes.
Yeah, because and they explain it like his memory and his programming is basically not the same.
He reverted back to his default.
Yeah, reverted back to his default, and so he's back in that killer instinct mode, and so then they have to take him out. He's running around like the Terminator from T1 after its legs got blown off, going after Sarah Connor. It was a funny scene.
It was. So after that scene where he's with IG-11, they take IG-11 to the species that we know the character from the sequel trilogy, Babu Frick.
Yeah, whatever species they are, I don't even know.
We've talked about them before. I can't. That their name escapes me. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Somebody in the comments will let us know, I'm sure, because people love to do that in the comments. But let us know. Let us know. But anyways, Mando has to go find a piece to be able to repair his memory.
Yes.
The creatures can't fix IG-11 until he gets that piece. So now he's on mission. Now he's leaving to go and find something, a piece of the memory. While he's leaving, while he's in space, he gets attacked. And we have our first, that I can remember in a long time, space battle in Star Wars.
Space battle. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was sitting there and I was like, oh, like as soon as I saw the asteroids, because I remember from the trailer, I was like, oh, it's about to happen. We're about to get it right here.
Right.
So, yeah, and like I said, those ship designs reminded me of the pirate fighters from X-Wing Alliance. I'd have to go back and look at it, but they look very similar with the 3 engines on the back side by side, in a row.
So the last scene, Nick, that we get is Mandalorian showing up at a different Mandalorian planet. And he goes to a Mandalorian castle, the castle of Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
And Bo-Katan is extremely lonely. Everybody's left her. She's all by herself.
Just chilling by herself.
She's sitting on the throne, just sitting there by herself, by her lonesome. All of her people have left. And the Mandalorian Din Djarin tells her that he's seeking atonement. He wants to bathe in the waters of Mandalore, blah, 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 all that stuff. Yeah. And she's like, "You're a fool. There's nothing there. And basically, they have kind of an inconsequential, at this time, conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know where that's headed, but, and I honestly, he was leaving to go find memory for IG-11, a piece of hardware. I don't know why he went to go see Bo-Katan. I have absolutely no idea why. It wasn't explained. He just decides
Yeah,
all of a sudden, I'm going to see Bo-Katan. Right? Explain that.
yeah. I don't understand that. Because it was like he had one objective to go complete,
Hmm.
and then he's doing something completely different that has nothing to do with that.
Exactly.
I'm I'm like, did they screw this up in editing? Like, was this supposed to come before he went to? It would have made more sense if at the very beginning, before he even goes to Navarro,
Yeah.
he ends up going there and talking to her.
I will say the one thing that they did accomplish at this time is that they established Bo Katan as not a threat or an enemy yet.
Yes.
Maybe she won't never be one, but that's something that a lot of us were wondering going in.
Hmm.
Bo Katan is like, you got the dark saber, great, wave it around and lead them. You know,
Yeah.
she's just like she's done.
Yeah. She's just sort of like, I mean, she's not gonna fight Mando for it. Um, so yeah, she's just sort of like, my chances of ruling are pretty much over
Yep.
until either Mando gets defeated by somebody else that's not a Mandalorian, and then I have to go get it from them.
So, so
So,
all that I know right now, Nick, where we're headed is the search for a piece of hardware for IG-11. I don't
mhm.
think there's any doubt that's going to take him back to Tatooine to Peli Motto's character.
Mato,
We know that
yeah.
he's going to get R5D4. Is he going to get IG-11 back with Taika Waititi, doing the voice for IG-11? I hope so because I really enjoyed that character in season
I
one.
like the character. I thought we were gonna get him back immediately. I was like, oh, as soon as they fix him up, I was like, oh, they're bringing him back, and he's gonna be a part of it. But we never saw. We just saw the statue of him in the trailers. We never saw that he was actually a character in the show. So
So
maybe he's one of the surprises for this season.
So here's another piece of criticism for me. It's like all of a sudden now you're interested in going back to Navarro, walking up to the statue and saying, I want to revive him. If he could be revived, why didn't you do it way back at the end of season one after he got obliterated and self-destructed?
Yeah. And that's something else I was going to bring up, because if you watch the very beginning when they do the recap, one of the first things that they show is IG-11 self-destructing to save Grogu and Mando and all them.
Hmm.
And when he self-destructs, he's blown into pieces. There's no part of that head left. There's no arms or body. He literally blows up into pieces.
Yeah.
So the fact that they had any parts whatsoever of him just does not make sense
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. I'm
So
with you.
that's definitely a criticism for the episode for sure for me.
So is there anything else you wanted to say about it? Like I
It
definitely
was
want to
pretty
give
short.
I want to give my overall score for it.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys are going to feel about it. I really don't, and I don't gauge my opinion on what I think you guys are going to think. I want to be authentic. That's what we do here. Nick, I'm going to have to go ahead and I'm going to say as chapter 17 as a standalone episode
Hmm.
right now, I'm going to give it a 7.
That's where I'm at. Which is decently good enough. It
It
wasn't.
wasn't a
It
fail.
was.
It wasn't
It,
a
it
fail.
it wasn't a fail. It wasn't bad. But there was just some small things that they could have done differently. In the editing of the episode. And some of the choices they made, like with IG-11, who shouldn't even exist at all. Even though I like the character, and I'm like, okay, it'd be cool to see him come back to the show.
Hmm.
it doesn't make sense. And there's a couple things like that throughout the episode. It just doesn't. I don't know. There's so many different story points that it doesn't feel like a tightly knitted written episode.
It's not. This whole IG-11 thing. Let me break away from the Star Wars galaxy for a moment. This whole IG-11 thing is no different than Optimus Prime, what they did with him in the 1980s. He died in the movie, just like IG-11 did.
Yeah.
And then, later on, Season 3 rolls around, and they're like, we got to bring him back because
that's who everybody loves.
Because we're losing money. We got to bring him back for whatever reason. Not that they're losing money because IG-11 is missing, but just hear me out.
Yeah.
They have the Return of Optimus Prime episode where all of a sudden Rodimus Prime needs Optimus back. He's the only hope. Okay, so they're like, hey, all we got to do is take him to the Quintessons. The Quintessons can bring him back. And like, well, if it's that simple, why didn't you think about that
do it in the first place
after he died?
Yeah.
You know, and that's so the whole return of IG-11 to me is a very mixed bag. I like it because it's bringing back the character that I like a lot, yet it's lazy storytelling.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would have been better if Mando had stumbled across something, some information or something. This is how you can revive IG-11. If we had seen the realization of that, I could bring IG-11 back. Not just happenstance. Well, I need a droid. I'm going to go atone. And let me try to revive him. I can do it. You should have done that to begin with. So,
and the thing is, I completely agree with that. But even that, he got blown to pieces. There should be nothing left of him to even bring back.
It's not like a Jenga thing just falling apart. It's like, you blew it up with a grenade.
Yeah.
How are you going to put that back together?
It's not like the T2 from Terminator 2 Judgment Day, where he could just put him next to some freaking hot lava or something, and he's going to just melt and reform, know?
I got you.
After he's in a million pieces.
Well, again, for us, we both happen to score it a 7 out of 10. Usually I'm a little higher than Nick. I need every single one of you to let us know in the comments, what do you give it out of 10? Where are you? Tell us why. If you agree or disagree, especially if you would disagree with something that we said, let us know. We're not trying to nitpick. We're really not. This is just what we do when we're giving you our take. And
observations.
Stuff
that stands out.
We're not just going to give it a 7 out of 10 and not tell you why. So that's what we're doing. Authentic conversations here at Echo Base Network. Let us know in the comments what you think. Go ahead.
And one quick thing I want to add is, before I really thought about the episode and we discussed it, I was at like an 8. But after thinking more about it, and maybe some people watching will feel the same way, I'm like, okay, I'm bringing it down to a 7.
Yep. And look, we're going to have some people that are unhappy about this, but I mean, that's just.
And we're not saying it's a bad episode.
No, and I'm excited about the next one. I think it's going to get better as we go.
Yeah.
I really do. So, anyways, guys, it was good fun to sit back and watch The Mandalorian again. We're going to go ahead and say it. You are Echo Base Network. May the Force be with you. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye, guys.